One thing that cracks me up about liberals and gun control is and I'm going to play some Michael Moore audio if we could dig it out, where he said that they have a stereotype vision of dark-skinned people breaking into their homes. By accepting that dynamic, the only way to prove you're not a racist would be to give up your guns and allow somebody to assault you. Let me give you the audio here. Play this for a second.
Why us? Why do we, more than any other country, do this? I think it's more than just the laws. There's a reason why we want to own these guns. You pointed out last week that we're number one in gun ownership, and then Yemen
is number two. A distant number two.
A distant number two. So why us? Why do we have this? And the vast majority of these guns are owned by people who live in safe parts of town or mostly in suburbs and rural areas, places where there are very few murders. And your same producer was saying to me backstage here that he was talking to people there who, he says everybody's packing there. I mean, the surgeons there at the hospital, they said they have guns, everybody has a gun, yet they all said, we have a very low gun murder rate here in Tucson. So why do you have a gun then? Why do you have a gun? What are you afraid of? What is that thing that we're afraid of, that we want to have a gun in the house? Because there's only something like 500 or 600 home invasion murders a year in this country. I don't want to say only, but in a nation of 310 million people, we have about 500 people a year are killed through an actual home invasion, the thing that we're all the most afraid of. And of that 500, there's something, I don't have the exact number, but it's a very high percentage. I think almost a third of those, the people that are killed with the gun that the criminal found in the house, or they've taken it away from the homeowner and killed the homeowner with it. So,
but when we imagine home invasions in the movie in our head,
yes,
we're always we're never being disarmed of our own weapon, and we're always being effective with it, and it's never being used against us.
Yes, and I am loath to bring up what is in our head because we don't like to talk about it so much. But on this particular day, on Martin Luther King Day, I think this needs to be said. Yeah. That imaginary person that's going to break into your home and kill you, who does that person look like? You know, it's not freckled-faced Jimmy down the street, is it really? I mean, that's not what really people, we never really want to talk about the racial or the class part of this in terms of how it's the poor or it's people of color that we imagine we're afraid of. Why are we afraid? What is that? And it's been a fear that has existed for a very, very long time. And, you know, but I love this quote by Martin Luther King. Somebody said to him one time, you know, why do we need to enact a federal anti-lynching law? You know, I mean, you can't force people to love each other. You can't, you know, a law isn't going to make somebody not a racist. And he said, yeah, that's true. You can't legalize us getting along with each other. But I have a feeling if we pass an anti-lynching law, it probably is going to help. And it did.
All right,
and
cut it there.
We need these laws.
So the concept is that white people are keeping guns in their house because they have this irrational fear, or they have this racist fear that the person coming in to kill them is either poor or of color. Well, how does one combat that unless they're willing to give up their gun and take their chances? Does that mean that somebody has the right to kill somebody because they're of a... Now, you ready for me to destroy this argument? Start your tape running. I'll give you a second here. So, according to Michael Moore, and this is not just Michael Moore, this is other liberals and progressives, that white people keep guns in their house because they think black people are going to break in. That's the vision of the person they have in their head. I think it's funny that nobody sees the inherent racism of Moore assuming that the home intruder is going to not be freckle-faced Jimmy, but is going to be black or Hispanic. Now, are you ready for this? If having a vision of somebody who is unlike you in your head, when you purchase a gun for self-defense makes that wrong, then why does a gay person buy a gun? Who is the stereotype? When a gay person buys a gun, who are they envisioning committing a gay bashing incident against them? A fellow gay person? Who is the gay person thinking is going to harm them for being gay? A straight person. When gays beat each other up, it's not called a gay bashing. When gays are assaulted by straights, it's called gay bashing. If a gay person were buying a weapon to defend himself against gay bashing, the most prevalent form of violence against a gay person, the person he's envisioning in his head or her head, if she's a lesbian, is somebody who's straight. Is that unfair stereotyping? Is that an irrational fear? If a black person buys a gun to protect him or herself against a white supremacist committing an act of racism against them, who are they envisioning in their head? I just said it, obviously a white person. If a woman is buying a gun to protect herself against rape, what is the vision she has of the person in her head committing the rape? Another woman or a man? Regardless of what the law says and how we prosecute people, people do commit crimes against other people for being different or that are just inherently different and what makes them the victim. Most men don't rape other men. Most rapists, male rapists, rape women. That means, statistically speaking, that when a woman buys a gun for the purpose of defending herself against a sexual assault, chances are the person that she's envisioned in her head is a man. If you live in an area where there are white supremacists and you are black and you are buying a gun, not out of fear of black on black crime, although that fear may be legitimate, the person you envision in your head is white. If you're gay, and you buy a gun because you have a legitimate fear of gay bashing, the person you envision in your head is going to be straight. Are you honestly going to say to gay people, there's something wrong with you if you've purchased a gun with a preconceived target in your head because you actually feel irrationally that you might be a victim of gay bashing? Would a progressive actually look a woman in the face and go, you realize there's something wrong with you because you've already envisioned who your attacker is? Now, here's the worst part of this. Whether you're talking about black and white, white and black, Hispanic, Asian, it doesn't matter who the people are. It doesn't matter what vision they have of their head, of their possible assailant. If that person doesn't actually assault them, then there's no crime. My God, you're actually saying, you're almost coming out and saying that people should be chastised for having legitimate fears of criminal behavior, and because you have put a racial or sexual or ethnic component on it, that the only way to be pure against the accusation is to give up the weapon and actually accept the inbound crime. But the only person Moore directs that at is plain old white people. And that's what separates conservatives, Republicans, and libertarians from people like that. Because if you ban guns because you think white people have an irrational fear of black people, you're forgetting all the other people that can no longer have guns. That's women, that's gays, that's minorities. And they need guns just as much as anyone else. Argument destroyed. Thanks for playing. We're right. They're wrong. That's the end of the story. I'll get the calls next. The arguments cannot be broken. Sirius XM Patriot.